perfect game for Roy Halladay.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Davis, and today we finally have the fall gang back together. I'm joined today by my man, Snap. You can follow him on Twitter at @NotSzymanski. You can follow the guy down below me, George Ryder, on Twitter @_George Ryder. And you can follow my co-host on the Daily Dose and here at the Phaithful Phanatics, Matt McGinty, on Twitter @Matt_McGinty. You can also follow our podcast on Twitter @Phaithful Fans 2. The Phaithful Phanatics are brought to you by the Painted Lines Network. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, like this video, turn on notifications. We're streaming to you live through Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So let's have some fun. Join the conversation. Comment as much as you guys want with us. On today's show, we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight's 76ers matchup as they return back to the floor tonight in Chicago to take on the Bulls. No Joel Embiid. No Ben Simmons as they still continue to quarantine due to contact tracing. So we'll talk about what life will be like without those two on the floor tonight. Do the Sixers have a chance to win? We also have our trade targets as the trade deadline is approaching. Next week, we will do some buyout targets. But this week, we are focused all on the 76ers and Daryl Morey's trade targets. So we're going to run down a list. Interested, not interested, take or pass. You guys can comment along with us. So let's have some fun. George, I'll throw it to you first. No Ben, no JoJo. What is tonight's game going to look like?
A lot different than what we're used to. It's gonna be an interesting game. We're like 4-point underdogs too, and which makes sense without Joe and Ben. But Zach LaVine's gonna have his way tonight, is what I'm assuming, and it's just gonna be a totally different look than what we're used to. Hopefully, they can gut out some type of win, but I'm not expecting them to come out and win against Chicago tonight. I don't know about you guys, but without Ben and Joe, it's going to be a tough game.
All right, we got different. That's George's word to describe tonight. Snap, how would you describe what tonight's going to look like?
Probably a loss, if I had to say so.
I like it.
They're coming off All-Star break without their two best players. You know, Toby's probably going to get a lot of touches. You know how Toby is when he has to dribble the ball more than he's supposed to. He's just not as effective when he's with superstars and taking less dribbles. Excited to see Shake maybe a little bit. The excitement's not there. The whole coming back from All-Star break was killed the second I found out Ben and Embiid weren't going to make these games. So I'll have fun on Friday. I'll have fun on Sunday. Till then.
All right. We got different. Lost. Gint, how would you describe tonight?
I mean, dude, if they can hold Zach LaVine under like 35, we might win. I mean, dude, Chicago is a dumpster fire. Like, they're not very good at much at all on the basketball court. But I mean, that being said, you are missing the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. So I don't know how we hold him under 35 at this point. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the starting lineup. I don't know if they'll start Shake, if they'll start the unmovable piece, Tyrese Maxey. I'm not sure what they'll do. All
right. Yeah, Dive says it here. The Blue Coats just tipped off for their championship game in the G League bubble.
Is that on TV?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right, I'm watching.
The playoff run has been on ESPN News or whatever. So we got loss, we got different, we got under. Forget if we can hold Zach LaVine under. I want to share Gint's optimism. I'm going to go ugly. We've seen what this team looks like with just one of our superstars on the floor or one of our superstars missing. The fact that both of them are going to be missing, coming off a long break. Now, that can be one of two things. Either Tobias Harris or Shake Milton comes out and, goes off because they've had a lot of time off. Or it could just get extremely ugly tonight. And I think that's the way it's going to go. I see no way that they can stop Zach LaVine. And I don't mean ugly as in like a blowout loss, because I agree with you, Gint. Like, outside Zach LaVine, Chicago is just not good. But at the same time, without Joe or Ben, I just think our style of play tonight is going to look extremely ugly. I didn't say a loss. It could be an ugly win, but I think it's going to be rough. So is everyone going with a loss tonight?
Maybe. I mean, anything can happen. A +4 line kind of screams like underdog, like take the underdog to cover. And if the line's at 4.5, like I mean, it's anyone's game. It is like Ken said, it is the Bulls. They could just suck. You just got to try your best to contain Zach LaVine, but that's not easy. So we'll see.
No, especially with no Ben. I don't know what tonight's going to be like. What's up?
I'm taking the Sixers.
All right. George, you're going off.
Does that mean Dwight starts tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, no, never mind. I take that back, bro. he's dreadful in the starting lineup, dude.
Maybe Tony Bradley starts.
They'll go small ball Mike
They've done that before. They have done that before.
Small ball Mike Scott.
Daryl, we need your help. But before we move on a little bit, so we talked about the Bulls game because we know that's going to be ugly, but we only do this once a week. So do you guys want to touch on the weekends, a little bit of the weekend? Because tomorrow night, they're right back at it in Washington against the Wizards. Joel is available to come back, should be available to come back.
Why?
What do you mean?
Why is he?
I think they saw the barber different days, and Joel's one day ahead of Ben because Ben's available to come back to the team Saturday.
Oh,
that doesn't mean Joel's going to play Friday. It's just that's what Shams tweeted.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Ben's available to come back Saturday, which means they could both be back for the first home game in front of fans Sunday night against the Spurs. Speaking of which, when are the Phaithful Phanatics getting down to the Wells Fargo Center for a game? When what?
As soon as possible.
I can't hear what you're saying.
I said as soon as possible.
No, George said as soon. What did you say?
I said when the season's over.
I'm getting down there as soon as possible.
Wait,
so whoever
they ever figure that out? Well, what's the restriction?
No, I mean, I would imagine if you have tickets, like in your parking, and you can socially distance, like tailgate with who you're with. Obviously, I highly doubt. Like when they say no tailgating, I think that means like people can't just walk in to the parking lot. Like, you know how people just walk into the Eagles parking lot and tailgate all day and whatever. I don't think you can do that. I think if you have a ticket, like, and you come in with a carload of 4 people, that's who you're with, you can drink and do whatever at your car. Like, you know what I mean? I hope that's the case, because if not, then.
Real quick, before we jump off the Embiid and Simmons thing, did you guys see what that lady from Barstool said about it?
Oh, about how
it was one of the worst sports takes I've ever seen in my entire life. She was like,
"Do you have the tweet?
How irresponsible can you be to get your hair cut?" I was like,
everybody gets cut.
Everyone had freshies. Joel Embiid tweeted a joke about it. Like,
bro, I physically could not believe I was hearing what she was saying.
She doesn't remember
is that the girl that's always dragging Ben through the mud?
Yeah.
I blocked.
She also said it was like a good. She also said it was kind of like payback for the Jazz game.
Oh yeah,
she's a troll. She's just a troll,
dude. She was all over.
She doesn't even get like clicks though. Like Skip Bayless is a troll, but like, dude, everyone clicks on his stuff. That girl has like 11,000 followers. Like,
I don't know. I don't know how Barstool employed her. She's just awful.
Yeah, she's bad, bro.
Like, she should have no. Like, granted, I mean, we barely have a following. Like, we have 1,000 followers.
Yeah, we don't have a lot. Yeah, we don't have a lot.
Wrong. But she's just so misinformed and just such a bad take.
Right.
She's like the worst in every basketball fan personified.
Abe, honest Abe, what is going on? We're about to get into Sixers trade targets. Dibe says he'll join the tailgate. Hold on real quick. I got thrown into a tweet yesterday, and I was going to add you in it, but I just didn't reply. Did you see this or no? One of our followers on the Daily Dose tagged me in it. So this Run It Back Eastwood, he's a podcast host, tweeted.
I think I did see that.
He tweeted, "Nobody in Philly sports media is taking me 1v1. If y'all serious about a Philly sports YouTube tournament,
I did see that.
I'm taking the crown." So I don't know this person's name. I remember I call it like EEC. I don't want to butcher the name. Yeah. It's at EECIAJ. He said, "I got your back, bro, but damn, at whoever this dude is, 6'2", and at Landis Brock is built like an ox, Karl Malone style." He goes, "Wouldn't surprise me if at Dylan JD had D1 offers."
Yeah, I don't know who he is, so I'm not going to speak and say that I would beat him, but
I love that.
Yeah,
that was great.
I might have to stir the pot later tonight, chop up this clip, and just throw it out there. Nah, I'm just messing around.
Unless he's like, knowing my luck, I'll be like, yeah, I'll play you. And he's some former Division One. Had all
Yeah, 6'3", like
built like a stallion. Like,
holy shit. Oh man, a little off topic. Oh, that's another thing we're gonna do. So next week, because Abe says little little basketball tournament, with us. But the NCAA tournament selection Sunday is Sunday.
Yo.
Oh, he knows them.
Abe, rate his skills 1 to 10.
Yeah, you gotta give us a 1 to 10 here. I'll play. I play every week.
10 being like you can score 20 points in a beer league, men's league.
Is anyone at TPL over 5'10"? I'm over 5'10".
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah,
5'11",
I'm the same size.
5'6".
I'm the same size as Ginn. I did see this, however. I did see Brian Baker was at the Basketball Hall of Fame like last week. He put it on Facebook, and my man's Jimmy looked clean. Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah. He put up a shot. What?
So he might be able to get me then. Anyone over 6'2" at this point is probably gonna get me.
Oh man. All right, let's get into it, dude. So off topic here, off the rails. But what I was trying to say is we're gonna do a let's do a Phaithful Fanatics NCAA tournament bracket. If you guys, I'll put it on our Twitter and everyone can join it. We can do it for free for fun, and you guys can play against us and we'll have some fun with it. But with that being said, let's get back to the NBA and the Sixers trade targets. Now, it's my first time using the shared screen, so stay with me here. Thank you to Mr. Matt McGinty up top next to me for the graphics here. There we go. Yeah. There we are.
Shout out sports law class. I had this back.
Shout out Carrie Sabula.
No.
76ers trade targets. Next week will be the buyout market. If you guys have any other names that we haven't included on this list, throw them out there and we'll be happy to discuss it. But first on our list, this does not mean at the top of the list. This is just how we put them and we'll rank them at the end. Will Barton. That's the name that kind of came up, yesterday? 2 days ago?
Yeah, I think it was the day before.
He is 30 years old. He's averaging 11.6 per game, 4.1 boards, 3 assists, 42.2% from the field, and almost 39% from 3. He's decent on the defensive end, has improved, and he's comfortable with or without the ball, so he can space the floor. George, I'll throw this to you first. Where's your interest level? Let's just do this. 1 to 10. We'll go down the George, Snap, Get, myself. How interested are you in acquiring Will Barton? And then we can discuss maybe what it would take.
All right, we'll go with if we aren't acquiring Kyle Lowry, what my interest level will be.
Just go on this player.
Yeah, like a 7, I guess. 7, 8. I mean, I feel like Will Barton wouldn't cost too much to get to trade for, especially right now. And he'd be another guy that you have depth for, that can shoot the 3 pretty well, that is better defensively than he's been in the past. Like, he's only gotten better. So having a guy like that that's comfortable with or without the ball and can be more depth for you guys that you don't really probably have to trade much for, you're always going to be interested in that deadline, especially with this bench. Like, you need depth at some point on this bench that we have right now. So I would say 7, 8 for Will Barton. I'm definitely on board if they want to trade for him.
Snap, where's your interest level?
It's an overall piece. If they had traded for him right now without giving too much, I'd put him in an 8 range out of 10, and clearly not a 10 because we know who 10 is. But at 8, he's about an 8 because even though he's averaging 11 points per game, his field goals attempts per game are down this year. He's not getting as many shots at the rim this year because of Michael Porter Jr. And I think he would be a nice second unit piece, and he would just add that scoring and shooting we really desperately need from outside moving forward. And he's this athletic wing type of player. Like, you can never have too many of them.
We didn't include this. Does anyone know how big he is? Like, he's lengthy. Like, how big
I got
is
his page up right now because I was looking at his stats. He's 6'6", so he's great size for a combo guard.
All right. Ginn, where's your interest level?
I like him. I like Will Barton a lot. Will the Thrill.
Through.
I just don't know. I think he'd have to start because I think you'd have to move Danny Green to get him. So I don't see where he would be in the second unit with Shake unless Denver's completely done with him and ready to just move him for whatever. You know what I mean? Which he has been playing less and less time because, I mean, Denver is relatively deep. So I don't know really what the asking price is for Will Barton. I tried to just look it up to see a mock trade and couldn't find anything. It was like the most ludicrous trade I ever saw. I'm not even going to mention, but yeah, I'll say a 7 too. Like I definitely take Will Barton. He's a guy that can get buckets for you that we don't have off the bench or anyone out of the Holy Trinity.
I see Abe has a 7, Mike has a 7. I'm right around there with you guys. I'm a little, not that there's much of a difference from a 7-8. I'm a little bit more of a Snap. He said around that 8 range. I'd go there as well. His minutes are down. His field goals per game are down. Like attempts per game are down. I think he would just be, like you said, I don't know what it would take. Like you said, I don't know his contract. Do you have that up?
His contract is not.
All right. So I don't know what it would take if the money would have to be Danny Green or whatever. I have no idea. But the thing with it doesn't make sense with Denver. I get it. Like MPJ is kind of taking that role or whatever, but Denver's win now as well. He's a piece on their team that's, that can get buckets for them. If they're trading him, I would imagine they would need a play now player as well. Does that make sense? Like a Matisse Thybulle-esque player right now. So I have no idea what Denver's asking price is, but just as far as what getting Will Barton would do for the Sixers, I'm more towards an 8 for this. Especially if he could come off the bench and just be a hooper off the bench and a bucket getter for you. And like Snap said, his size is there. He's lengthy. And if George is right and he's improved on the defensive end, then I like it, man. So 7
to add, right now this year he's making $13.7 million, but if we trade for him, he's actually still under contract in the next season where he'll make 14. So I think that adds to the value that you would have to put out for Will Barton. So I could see Danny Green and maybe some sort of pick combination.
Damn.
What?
All right. Because Danny Green frustrates us all, but I like Danny Green.
I
don't know. Green, but let me ask you this: if you had to move Danny Green, how much does Will Barton move a needle without subtracting Danny Green? Compared to, I feel like if you're getting Will Barton, the point is to add to the depth, if that makes sense. Not replace Danny Green and whatever else with Will Barton. Does that make sense?
Then you're going to have to probably do a deal, which would be like, if I'm Denver, the first thing I'm saying is, all right, trade us Mike Scott and Maxey and some sort of pick. Because then I need higher value in either youth or picks if you're not going to give me a starter.
We wouldn't trade Tyrese Maxey for James Harden.
Exactly. So the deal could look like it's going to fall through.
Yeah, I don't know. But we're not Daryl Morey, so hopefully he's got something up his sleeve. The next player on our list. Bang.
That violent ass clicking.
I do have to say, Snap's poll.
I knew it was going to come up. Just get it out of the way. I didn't answer any of you guys' tweets replying to me. I was heartbroken almost.
And I do have to throw out a key side note here. Does anyone see what Kyle Lowry's wearing in this picture? Yeah. So I wonder who the graphics person on this PowerPoint was.
I was for Dibes. I'm sure you'll love that.
Kyle Lowry, and then I did the stats and all. Did you see the key word I put in here, Snap?
Young.
34 years young, baby. Not old, 34 years young. Averaging 18 per, 5.5 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game on 40.33% from the three. Dibes just threw up in his mouth looking at that. To me, he is the perfect fit. He is a secondary ball handler. He's a good defender for his size. He's going to draw an insane amount of fouls next to Joel Embiid. He can create. He can shoot. He can space the floor. I think he knows his role. I just love everything about it. I literally just said how I don't want to give up Danny Green, but that's for Will Barton. Danny Green can go for Kyle Lowry.
Uber to Toronto.
Yeah. He is number one on my list. For me, it's a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm not selling the freaking farm for him. I'm not giving Toronto Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, and Maxey, or Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, and two for whatever it is, but I don't think it would cost that much. His interview was really weird, dude. I know we talked earlier and you guys don't think he's going to get moved. I don't really think he is either, but the way he made it sound like, I know he tweeted he hates when people make rumors that don't come from his mouth and all this stuff. But my thing is the way he said, I'll retire in Toronto on a 1-day contract or whatever. The wording was very, very strange. So I don't know how much longer Kyle Lowry has in Toronto. And if he's not finishing this year in Toronto, it damn sure better be in the red, white, and blue here in Philadelphia. 10 for me. Gint, what would you have? What's your level here?
Yeah, definitely a 10.
No more words needed.
No, they're what is there need to be said?
Hold on, let me take this mic out and just drop it real quick.
I don't understand the not want for Kyle Lowry, and I've said that. It's like Joel's ready. We talked about this. So if this shot's here, you got to take it. So yeah.
Abe says it's an 8.5 for him just because I'm not getting my hopes up. Plus, it's going to be a headache to try and acquire him due to his money. Well, Abe, that is the beauty of having Daryl Morey. We don't have to worry about that and stress over that. That's Daryl Morey's job. Snap, where is your interest level?
I'm going to rank it as a 10 because I absolutely love Kyle Lowry. I know I had the whole poll, Terry Rozier, Kyle Lowry, but I also said on that show last week that Kyle Lowry is an amazing player and he'd be a great fit here. I love Philly guys. I love when they come home. He's averaging 18 points per game. Clearly, he's 7 assists, 40% from 3. He's everything you want and need on this team right now. He can create his own shot at 3 levels. He's great outside shooter. He's averaging multiple assists a game. I think a pick and roll combination with him and Joel Embiid would be beautiful. You can take Ben off the floor and still have a ball handler with experience on the floor. He's everything you want. And he's won at the highest level now. So what more could you want?
I completely agree. George, where's your interest level?
5.6 million. I feel like Kyle Lowry is just the perfect guy to get right now, especially when if you want to win right now, getting Kyle Lowry moves the needle more than anybody out there that you could think of. So especially with the Nets and everything going on there, getting Kyle Lowry would be a perfect fit in Philadelphia. And
let's talk about that for a second.
Not even to mention he's an NBA champion, which we love Danny Green for being a veteran and being an NBA champion. Kyle Lowry brings that same exact thing.
I agree. Let's talk. You said what's up?
Said and a former Villanova Wildcat.
Let's talk about that needle mover, right? Because some people, I think he's a needle mover for this team. And someone had a great tweet. I'm pretty sure it's Rob Manoff on Twitter. Said someone said Kyle Lowry isn't a needle mover for this team, and they need a Beal. So basically, the argument was the Sixers are contenders, championship contenders, but they need a Levine or Beal. And Manoff was like, if you need a Beal or Levine, you're not a contender as is. That's just not the case. So to me, Kyle Lowry is definitely a needle mover. I don't get how he's not. I know that people are deathly afraid of the Brooklyn Nets. The Bucks are still going to be a tough out in the postseason, but I think Kyle Lowry, Snap alluded to, like I said before, he is everything this team's missing. I get their missing bench depth, and it's okay, well, we'd be doing the same thing we're arguing against, which is trading away players just for one player. But when you bring him into the equation, I think it's a lot different. George, what is he? Is he that needle mover to you?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. He's I know we've been preaching we need bench depth and we need guys to add to this depth and add to production for us. But getting Kyle Lowry would just be better than anything that we could do. And I don't what are we going to trade? We're going to trade Maxey, picks. Not Danny Green. I think anybody should want to do that in a heartbeat. I know a lot of people, a good amount of people on Twitter are very against Kyle Lowry, which I don't really understand, but I am 100% all for whatever has to be done to get this guy in Philly, especially for this season. Like, you see, like, the way we're playing at All-Star break, number 1 seed, MVP, defensive player of the year on the roster. Adding Kyle Lowry to the mix is just moves the needle more than anything.
And I'm tired of people trying to tell me they're not mortgaging the future for Kyle Lowry. Trading Tyrese Maxey is not mortgaging the damn future. It's not.
It's not.
It's not at all. Money in Danny Green and maybe Mike Scott, a young player in Maxey, and I get it. Now, if you said, they had to give up 2-3 first-round picks and Maxey, all right, that's a little bit of the future. But I'm tired of that argument. So we're 10s all across the board here for Kyle Lowry. Let's move on to our third player on this list, George Hill. Now, I would say this is more of a reasonable ask when it comes to the two. He's also 34 years old, averaging just under 12 per game, 50% from the field, 38.6 from beyond the arc. He's only played in 14 games this year. Snap, you were a little excited about this one, so I'll let you start here. Where's your level of interest for George Hill?
I'd put it at a 9, man. Not only is he only making $9.5 million this year, he's a very, very solid veteran who's been on a lot of good playoff teams. He kind of is like a poor version of Kyle Lowry. Like, maybe not the same amount of playmaking that Kyle Lowry gives you, but like, you see the stats. Like, he's still shooting the ball well. He's clearly taking smart shots with a 50% field goal percentage. 11.8 points per game is great. And, you can't ask much more of a veteran backup point guard than George Hill. Like, he's kind of like the perfect fit if you're not willing to spend $30 million. And that also gives you more room to possibly make another trade. I feel like the thing with the Kyle Lowry trade that a lot of people are like kind of scared about is they are thinking about the bench depth. And when it comes to the bench depth, it's like, how are you going to add any more pieces to this team during the season when you have another $30 million contract on the roster? It's a hard thing to do. So with George Hill, if you do make the trade for George Hill, you're probably not giving up as much value for him. And it gives you more flexibility to make moves at the deadline or possibly another trade moving forward. So I do like George Hill. And I think he's under contract into next year.
He might be. Abe loves George Hill. If you're cheap and you can probably swing him for a second. Again, your excitement level, your level.
I wouldn't say a second, definitely a first.
Your level for George Hill here.
Not very high. Depending on what you can give him up. Like if Abe just said you swing a second-round pick for him, sure, but I'm not high on George Hill. I don't see the reason I'm taking the ball out of Shake's hands on the second unit for a George Hill.
So you just want more shooting. Not that he's not shooting well, but you just want an off-the-ball.
I'd rather just load up on if you're going to go make a move and it's not going to be a Kyle Lowry or someone of that nature. I'd rather get guys that are bigger and can defend wings and bodies you can throw. Kevin Durant, Giannis, James Harden, Chris Middleton. I don't see the need. I shouldn't say I don't see the need because there is a need there. I just think a backup guard is like our third need right now, in my opinion. That doesn't mean I don't want a backup guard. Like if we acquired George Hill, I wouldn't be like, oh, we're going to lose now. But I'd say it's
a 5?
Yeah.
George.
I'll say this. I'm not in love with George Hill, but if you can get George Hill for cheap, like a cheap trade, which would possibly be what would happen, I don't think you have to give up a lot for him. And he's a guy that is not making much. It's a guy that's possibly under contract next year. And it's a guy that shot 46% from 3 last year. Like, he hasn't played a lot this year, but he's a veteran. He shot well from 3 last year. He shoots good from the field. If you can add that to your bench for giving up like a bucket of basketballs, then yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. And he's veterans presence. I mean, going into the playoffs, that's gonna be great to have. It's always great to have veterans in the locker room. But I would say like 6.5. I mean, I'm not in love with George Hill, but I would not mind at all acquiring a guy that last year did very well, just has been hurt this year.
Yeah, I'm around that 7 range, maybe a little under. I like George Hill, the player. I do think it is a need, but it's not like inside. I think bench shooting and spacing, and then that stretch big, is more of a need than George Hill is as that second ball handler. However, we know Shake's numbers in the catch and shoot from beyond the arc are pretty damn high. So if you let George Hill run the unit, then Shake becomes that shooter off the ball. I don't know, but it's a 6 or 7 for me. His injury, I don't know how bad it is. Isn't it like a toe or something that I'm pretty sure I saw, a foot injury or something like that? I don't know how he's only played in 14 games, so that's a little worrisome. That probably drives down his cost.
He suffered a finger injury. Finger.
Toe, finger. I knew it was something like that.
On the thumb of his shooting hand.
Okay. And I see a lot of comments here when it comes to George Hill speaking on his veteran experience, playoff experience. So that is definitely not a bad thing to have. How is he on the defensive end? Does anyone know?
He's terrible.
Okay.
Defensively.
Okay.
No, I shouldn't even say that because I don't think I know actually George Hill's. I just imagined me scoring on George Hill. So,
from what I've seen, maybe not in recent years, but definitely in the past, he was always a solid defender. Clearly, it's probably declined since he's 34, but I never remember him being a bad defender.
I just don't get the comment of I don't. You guys didn't make it. I'm just saying I heard it is. Oh, he's made big time shots.
No, that's not true. He missed 2 free throws on that Cavs team in the finals.
Like he doesn't make big shots. He feels the backup. But like again, if you can swing him for Abe's right though. Second round pick at this point with how good we are is worth nothing.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's very high value.
And if you're spending a first, I don't know if I'm throwing a first on George Hill.
Exactly.
Especially if it's a 1-year rental. If he comes back next year, I'd think about it. But
the thing is, though, that you guys got to remember, if anything from the offseason is carrying into the trade deadline, usually it doesn't, especially with trades. Usually the trade market, like, it becomes easier to make trades because everyone's pushing for trades. But in the offseason, the market for trades the value was so high after the Drew Holiday trade. Like, after they traded Drew Holiday for George Hill and Eric Bledsoe and 2 first-round picks.
First of all, didn't Rocco get 3 first-round picks?
Yeah.
I still struggle to comprehend that.
That's what I mean, man. And then you had they were trading guys like Kelly Oubre for first-round picks.
Yeah.
Like George Hill definitely got moved for a pick, I'm pretty sure, too. Like I think OKC brought on the cap that way. I'm
not trading a first for him this year.
The other thing is you got to remember is what's a first to us.
Yeah, I mean that's true with our value and how
if we're expecting to be picking in the high 20s, I mean
no 32nd, but
I get it. There's value there, but it's still a hit or miss pick.
No,
Look at Tyrese Maxey. He don't look really all that special right now. Kind of wish we had taken Desmond Bane at this point.
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
Delon Wright. 28 years old, 10.7 a game, just under 5 in rebounds and assists per game, 46.8 from the field, 38.4 from 3. George, we'll start back with you. Interest level on Delon Wright.
Yeah, I would say like an 8. I would take Delon Wright in a heartbeat on this team, like 100%. And he shoots the ball well. He's a pretty good defender. And I don't know what the package would be for him, but I don't assume that it would be crazy. Does anyone know his contract? We didn't put
Looking
that in.
it up as we speak.
Yeah, but Delon Wright's a player that I would love to have off the bench, especially for the second unit. He's a solid guy that can shoot the ball.
$9 million.
$9 million, yeah.
And 8.5 next year.
That's it.
So he's on the books next year.
He's on the books next year, yeah. So maybe we have to give up a little bit for him, but I'll take Delon Wright, especially off the bench.
Yeah, you can have Mike Scott and Vincent Poirier or whatever you want to pronounce, and maybe I'll throw you in like a 2023 second. How's that?
Yeah,
sound?
I would say like an 8.5.
All right, so George is higher on Delon Wright than he is on his brother George Hill. Snap, where are you on? Where are you on Delon Wright?
I'll put him at an 8. I do kind of like George Hill a little more, but I am a huge fan of Delon Wright. Honestly, the two are interchangeable for me. Whichever one we acquire, I wouldn't be mad about if we acquired one or the other. Because look at the numbers. They're kind of very similar for what they do. The benefit with Delon Wright is obviously 6 years younger, so that's the biggest plus with Delon Wright. And he's shown flashes of playing good. He hasn't played a lot this year, but if he was coming off the bench and you acquire him for cheap, I mean, why wouldn't you want him? He's a very good player, or not. Let me not say very good. He's a good bench player, especially when you're shooting 38%. Again, biggest key for the Sixers moving forward is shooting in the trade and buyout deadline. Need to get shooting on this team.
I agree. Gint?
Yeah, I'm in on Delon Wright. I'll go about an 8 in terms of what I want. I like him way, way, way more than George Hill. He also doesn't have an injury on his shooting thumb, so I think that's definitely a plus on a guy you're going to acquire. And he's also played more than 14 games this year. I'd bet. Not positive on that stat, but
no, he definitely has.
He absolutely destroyed.
He's played 24.
Okay, so it's not the worst, but I like Delon Wright. If you're going to make a move for a backup guard, I'd rather Delon Wright than George Hill. Like you said, 6 years younger. He's on the books next year. I'm in.
Yeah, I like Delon Wright as well. I'm around 7 or 8 with him. I'll go 8 just for the hell of it. 10.7 a game. I don't know how many attempts that is. Thank you, Snap.
8.1, which is pretty good.
Yeah. No,
3.8 field goals a game. I mean, that tells you that he's making threes if he's averaging 10.
Yeah. So he's shooting 38.4 from 3. If his catch and shoot numbers from beyond the arc are pretty high, then I like it even more, because then you can still allow Shake to run the second team and then put Delon right next to him, and vice versa. Shake can shoot off the catch. So I would like that duo a lot. He is 28 years old. He does a little bit of everything, honestly. Like, it's not that the numbers are very high, but he averages around 5 boards and 5 assists per game. So he does a little bit of it all for that second unit as well. And you said he would be coming back next year, I believe.
Yeah, for $8.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that you have to look at as well.
Cheap deal.
I really like Delon right here. Abe is at a 7 for Delon, but he likes him more than George Hill.
I think Mike said it in the comments. The thing I would like to see from acquiring a backup point guard is you get to move Shake to shooting guard in that secondary lineup, which I kind of would like to see more. Because I don't think Shake's a pure point.
So
I think he'd thrive at the 2 spot more.
All right.
I also agree with Abe. I would rather use a first for Delon Wright than George Hill.
Agreed.
Yeah, easily.
All right. Next is a name that kind of, I guess, just appeared again. I'm pretty sure Brock on here at TPL is big on Terrance Ross.
Definitely got to follow Brock if you guys don't.
Atlantis Brock. Go follow him right now. Go subscribe to his YouTube page. Kids and Animal. Terrance Ross, 15.5 per game, 41 from the field, 34.4 from 3. So the percentages are down. I don't know, again, how many attempts he's getting per game. I didn't look into that. Probably should have. But 15.5 per game. He's just, first of all, you talked about it before. He kills us.
Yeah.
Orlando is not a team we would have to worry about him killing us in the postseason, but it would be nice to have him. He is, 34.4 doesn't sound like the 38 and 39 and 40% 3-point percentages we've seen from other guys, but this dude's just a bucket getter, dude. Like that's really what he is. And if he's hot, he can stroke it from 3. I love Terrance Ross. I'm at a 9 or 10. I agree with Mike. Abe loves him. I'm at a 9 or 10 for Terrance Ross. I'll say 9 simply because Kyle Lowry's my bar at 10, and I can't have those equal. So I'll put Terrance Ross at a 9 for me. Gint, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm probably right around there with you. I don't know what I gave Will Barton, but those two are essentially
I forgot.
for me at this point. Terrance Ross, like you said, just one, if he could play against Brett Brown every night, he'd average 77 points a game. He'd break the record for the all-time scoring in the season. But, I like Terrance Ross a lot. I also would enjoy having Terrance Ross come off the bench. So if you can get him and still keep your starting 5, I think that's even better. I don't know what. Like, it's tough to tell with the asking price in the NBA right now because some guys deadline get moved for nothing, and then some guys somehow get moved for something you never thought it would be. But yeah, I'm big on Terrance Ross. I'll give it a 9.
Snap.
I'm shooting down more to the 7-8 range. I'm like right in between, like a 7.5. And the biggest reason for me isn't the numbers or what he does, because you guys are right. He is a scorer, but he's also one of those types of scorers where he's either hit or miss. And I feel like we already have a couple players like that, and I don't need another player like that. But the other thing is you're locked into a deal with him for 2 more seasons after this. And I don't know if I really want Terrance Ross here for 2 more seasons, because this year you would pay him 13.5. Next year you pay him 12.5, and the year after that is 11.5. So would I be mad if we got Terrance Ross? No, but kind of the longevity of having to keep him on the books and how inconsistent he can be at times is I don't need him coming up and shitting a brick in the playoffs. So for me, the number's lower. I'll bump it up to an 8. Nah, 7.5. I'm saying 7.5. 7.5. I like Terrance Ross. I do, but it's just, I feel like he would be Philly's worst nightmare. It would be like Furkan, kind of like where like, oh, Furkan scored 19, but then he scored 3. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like people would get mad at Terrance Ross in this city very quickly. And 3 seasons of that, I wouldn't want that.
So Snap doesn't want the inconsistency. George, where are you at with Terrance Ross?
I would say like 8.5 or 9. Like, I understand what Snap's saying because he is on the books the next 2 years. I think he's going to be paid like $12 million a year or something. Snap, you probably have
30 right now.
Yeah, he's 30 years old right now. You have him on the books the next 2 years, but I'm going to say like 8.5, 9. I would love him off the bench for this team right now. He's like everyone's saying, like he's a bucket. Like he scores, and that's would be a huge fit for us right now. His 3-point percentage has gone down the last 2 years. Like 2 years ago, he shot 38%. Last year, 35%. But if he can come here and get back to that 38% range, that's huge for us off the bench. So I love Terrance Ross. I think he can score well. I think for this team, it's a perfect fit. I will take him in a heartbeat. So I would say like 8.5, 9 is my interest level.
Now, you said his 3-point percentage has gone down the last 2 years. I believe he's at 34 now. But my thing is also he's playing with the Magic, and he hasn't played. And it's not like he would just be running strictly with bench unit. He'd be mixed with Joel here and there.
Yeah.
And here and there.
Exactly.
I'd be very interested to see how Terrance Ross would benefit from playing around those guys as the bucket getter he is. So it's definitely one to keep an eye out for. I don't know how reasonable it is. His name kind of just came up the other day. Is he even on the? I don't know how out on the market he is from Orlando.
Vin Fosh tweeted we were going to trade for him, but he also tweeted we were going to trade for Zach LaVine a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I seen that. I see with Terrance Ross, I believe his numbers would improve because he's been playing with garbage in Orlando. Basically, he hasn't played with a guy like Ben Simmons who increases everyone's 3-point shooting percentage up, and Joel Embiid who just demands double. So yeah, you could definitely see that. Maybe not 15 points per game because I think his shots attempts go down because it is Orlando again. He's besides Vucevic, who else is shooting the ball? So again, I'm putting him at a 7.5, but I would not be mad about the move.
See, one reason I would really love it, and I agree with Snap, he can be deadly inconsistent, and I think that would piss a lot of people off. However, the nights that Joe just doesn't have it, or Joe's the only one that has it, if you had someone like him where he's coming off the bench, but a night that Toby just doesn't have it, and Seth's not shooting well, and Danny's not shooting well, and Joel has to drop 45, to have this dude come off the bench to where he could maybe get you 20 to 25 here and there, like that's something that I
actually I'm bumping it up to an 8 because Furkan would get less minutes. So it's an 8.
I think everyone gets an extra half point because Furkan would lose minutes on this.
He would take Furkan's minutes, and now that I'm thinking about that, yeah, I'd fucking love that. So
and also Abe does make
actually
good
fuck it. We're going to a 9 now. I just actually thought about that. Holy shit. Yeah, give me Terrance Ross over Furkan.
Yeah, and Abe says
Abe's a good point because like you could definitely move that contract with ease if you don't want
to work.
Yeah, if someone wants him, clearly you can move it. But if you're like on the market to like, oh, we got to get rid of Terrance Ross, because say there's an opportunity this offseason, like with Danny Green's contract. Danny Green's kind of making the same money as him, and Danny Green's probably one of the bigger contracts, not within your your big 3. So if you needed to move his contract to make a free agency signing that is definitely more beneficial, someone's going to fleece you for more than what he's worth to make that cap space. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking in our Discord. Legion Hoops tweeted the Celtics are interested in trading for Jeremy Grant or Harrison Barnes as the trade. Who aren't the Celtics interested in trading for?
No.
So they almost had James Harden. Remember that? They were a lot closer than people think. Shut the fuck up.
All right. Wayne Ellington.
Love it.
Snap, you love it, so I'll start with you, bud. 10.8 per game, over 43% from three, adds bench shooting and spacing to a bench that desperately needs it.
I'm putting this at a 9. Wayne Ellington clearly isn't the player for like he was in Miami anymore, but God, I love this move. I personally think this will be a buyout move. I could see this being more of a buyout move than a trade move. I said that before the show, but Wayne Ellington is exactly what you kind of want on this team. Consistency, can shoot the ball well, just knows how to move without the ball. I think he might take more 3-point shots than like I'm pretty sure like the amount of 3-pointers he takes per game is pretty damn close to like his field goal attempts because he just does that. That's what he does. That's how he made his career in the NBA. Shoot the ball, catch and shoot, get open, shoot the ball some more. Like, yes, this is what you want. This is like a problem that would fill, and you can probably get him for cheap if you have to trade for him. And I'm gonna look up his contract real quick. I don't think he's very expensive either.
No, I doubt it. Gint, where's your interest level on Wayne Ellington? I think this fits perfect.
It's tough because you're going to be able to get him for very cheap if you make a move for him. But
$2.5 million.
Yeah, I really don't want him. I don't know. I shouldn't say I don't want him because at this point, anything off our bench is an improvement, and he would be an improvement. But we went through the JJ Redick phase where he would just get picked on in the playoffs by teams. And like if you play Brooklyn and you have,
but he's not starting for you like JJ was. He's playing limited role.
How many? I mean, if we make a move for him, you'd assume he'd be one of the first 3 players off our bench.
Well, probably, but you got to figure in a playoff series against a Brooklyn, he'd be playing against TLC and Shamet when they check in, not Harden and Kyrie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. Brooklyn's going to be able to stagger those minutes a lot more than people think, and one of those 3 are always going to be on the court. But I hate that JJ Redick phase where he couldn't bring anything else to the table. But again, if it means Furkan and Mike Scott and aren't playing anymore, like I'm down. So
yeah, that's where the enthusiasm.
Common theme here, people.
I'd rather bigger bodies right now.
Okay.
I've only talked about like Wayne Ellington's 6'5", so he's not. I thought he was a little bit smaller than that, to be honest. So I'll give it like a 6. I hate Miami players, and he was on Miami, and it just irks me.
It's a UNC man, ain't it? He was him and Danny Green played with Ty Lawson and Hansbrough, right? When they beat Nova in the Final Four.
Oh, you're funny, huh? That's what we were doing.
That's what we're doing.
I'm a Nova fan. I just remember it very vividly.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
George.
I would say like an 8. I think Wayne Ellington would be a great guy to get here. He's very cheap. He's been shooting the 3 very well this year, a lot better than last year. I think he shot like 35% last year or something. His minutes are up. I mean, he's just a catch and shoot guy. He shoots more 3s than he does from the field at 2-point range at all. Like not even close, really. So a catch and shoot guy off the bench can knock down 3s for you. He's cheap. You're not going to have to move a lot for him. That sounds like a perfect scenario for the Sixers to get a guy like that. Because why? What's the point not to at this point? I mean, you have a bench that is clearly in need of help and clearly needs shooting. So if you have a guy like Wayne Ellington literally making like nothing, like you're going to be able to get him very easily.
Yeah, Snap's right. He could definitely be a buyout play.
Yeah, exactly. So I would 100% take
and he's local. Wynwood.
Yeah, he is. He is local. That is true.
Marky Mark is just speaking my language right now. So if you just trade Furk, You don't have to worry about his minutes getting taken.
No one is taking Furkan.
Yeah, I know. And then Aram. Well, the Knicks just traded for D-Rose, so
they wanted D-Rose to make a playoff push.
Yeah, I don't
think
think they're trading.
Can't wait to play New York in the first round. Absolutely destroy them.
Same, dude. I love kicking the shit. That's one of my 3-4 most hated teams.
Dibs,
Utah, Miami, Celtics, and Knicks.
Dibs, I'm actually more concerned if they make a move for a player like this and Furk continues to get playing time. Then I'll never hear the end of it. But for me, Wayne Ellington,
you won't. He'll kill you.
Wayne Ellington
here every time.
He's probably like a 7 for me. It's strictly off of fit, and what it would take to get him. It's either a buyout or like a second rounder for him, whatever it is. It wouldn't take much to get him from Detroit. An interesting thing, can you package Delon Wright and Wayne Ellington in a deal together? I don't know.
For Furkan.
Yeah, for Furkan. But I should just when they made the Seth Curry trade, not comparing them as shooters, but when they made the trade, it was simply that's the perfect fit. Seth's shooting and spacing is the perfect fit with these two. I think Wayne brings that off the bench. If you run him with Joel and Ben here and there, if you stagger his minutes, again, I fully understand what you're saying. But just like Brooklyn can stagger, I think Doc can match the staggering. And even if one of the big three is on the floor, he's gonna find a way to keep Matisse or Ben on the floor to where they can play with one of them, and Wayne's not their assignment. So I think if he's playing, it's like TLC Shamit in that series. So I like it. Let's move on here. PJ Tucker. Now I'll start this one. I know Snap loves it. I did like it. And I haven't seen much Houston Rockets ball. And now I see the numbers. And it's not just the numbers. It's what is he going to bring? It's not a lot of money. It's under $8 million to pull off a trade here. But apparently Houston's asking price is effing ridiculous.
For Tyler Hero, dude.
Or Duncan Robinson. Are you out of your mind? He's averaging 4.4 points per game, and he's shooting 31% from 3, and that's from my stretch 4, small ball 5. That ain't what I'm looking for. Now, if that was 8 points per game on 39% shooting, I get it. And it could be circumstances, okay? Maybe the 31's just down because Houston's awful. But from looking at these numbers, outside of a defensive standpoint and, just kind of being a body to throw out there, I'm not too sold on it anymore, especially for the asking price. Snap, I want to hear what you have to say because I know you've been high on PJ Tucker.
I'm kind of like you. I'm kind of falling off the train because there's more guys. There's a guy we talked about him.
Bellizia or whatever. Yeah,
Bellizia. I'm more high on a guy like Bellizia now. I did. See, PJ Tucker's one of these guys that I've wanted him so long, kind of like Danny Green. I've wanted him so long. I was hyped when we got Danny Green. I would be hyped that I was at the point where it's like, oh, if we made a trade for PJ Tucker, that'd be great. And now I'm kind of realizing who PJ Tucker is now. Oh, how old is he now? 34? 35. 4 years ago, PJ Tucker's in his prime. He's playing great defense. We have a scoring issue on this team, not a defense issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. I get it. PJ Tucker could maybe help with defense against the Nets, but can he help like he used to? The answer to that's no. Right. So would I be mad if we traded a lot for PJ Tucker? Yeah, I fucking would be, especially with the market for him right now, apparently, which is crazy. But if you get him for cheap, do I hate it? No. But at the end of the day, there's a guy I want more, and that's Bellizia from Sacramento.
Again, I already know your answer, but go ahead.
What's my answer?
You want no part.
No.
I don't. Dude, all these are pretty tricky because, if you can get them for cheap, obviously, I'm not going to.
Right. But with the asking prices, I'm not.
When this came out and everyone was like, dude, PJ Tucker's the fit, bro. He stretches the floor. Like I said to you guys, what does he stretch? Teams are going to double Joel Embiid without any hesitation if PJ Tucker's on the floor. But he, like you guys brought up, he has a body. According to Mike here, he can defend KD. So
No, and this is
It's
the
like-
Yeah, just say it like
I'm
that.
waiting for the signal.
No, I'm just
all I'm saying is when people need to stop with that because our starting five is going to play against their starting five a majority of the game. Sure, there's going to be minutes here and there. So how many minutes is PJ Tucker going to be throwing?
I understand, and I wouldn't mind PJ Tucker. He's played in a lot of big games. Remember that game when
The most historic 3-point,
Yeah, when Houston had missed 17 straight threes, he played really well.
All right. There's not here.
No, what really does intrigue me is a small ball lineup. If we were to move for PJ Tucker, sorry, I think that'd be something intriguing with Ben, PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle. I don't see teams scoring on that lineup, but I'm not in on PJ Tucker.
George.
You can mark it down as a 4 or 5. I like PJ Tucker. He's a body. He's big. He can defend. He can defend. That's good. But right now, Snap said, defense is not our issue. We need guys that can score. PJ Tucker his shooting this year has regressed pretty handily. And for a guy that's 35 years old, that does a new season, new scenario, changing scenery right now.
Yeah,
that's not something you can say for a 35-year-old who's.
He did lose James Harden too.
Yeah. See, I'm not I think they're gonna ask for a first for PJ Tucker, which no, thank you. In my opinion, I'm okay with that.
TPL here. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not to cut you off, George, but I just had the bone to pick. It's TPL, not TLP. And secondly, no, this will be very quick. Nadir a few weeks ago, because Gint's on the show now, he can attest to it. Gint, didn't Nadir, when we were celebrating Doc and praising Doc a few weeks ago, trash Doc and say we'll never win with Doc, basketball, all that nonsense? He doesn't get why we love Doc so much. But now that Doc said something positive about his boy, Doc greater than us. And the last thing I'll say is, Nadir, you're right. Right in this moment, Furkan's in the playoff rotation. You go out and get
You get Terrance Ross, he's gone, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. As is, sure. Furkan's in the playoff rotation. Morey gets to work, probably not much longer. And the last guy on our list, Larry Nance Jr. This name intrigues me.
Yeah,
It does.
way more than PJ Tucker.
Yeah. So go ahead. You got a little fire under that. You got a little fire under that.
I do have to jump off.
Go ahead. Go first.
But yeah, dude, I think well, just to get back to the PJ Tucker thing real quick, obviously the Houston thing is over for him. The team is an absolute dumpster fire since Harden left. I think he's just done with Houston. But he hasn't played well as opposed to Larry Nance, who is playing well and is shooting the ball at the best he shot in his career. I don't know if he can still jump like he used to, but I'm sure he can still get up there. He's still athletic. And he's actually bringing you a body size that can maybe disrupt some length like Giannis, Kevin Durant. I'm not saying you're going to throw Larry Nance on an island against Kevin Durant. He's going to succeed because he's got long arms, but this one intrigues me way more than boring PJ Tucker. I'll tell you that.
38.1% from Larry Nance also intrigues the hell out of me. Now we're going to get to a guy next week, Bielitsa.
Dear, Furkan sucks.
You can't do that and then jump off the show and leave me here.
Furkan sucks.
No, you don't get to just say that. No one's hating on Europeans, dude.
Wait, yeah, real quick, because like I said, I got to jump off. Who did the Flyers shout out? Was that Mike?
Yeah, Mike. Did you get a shout out from? It could have been a different Mike Grimm, but I was watching the Flyers broadcast the other night, and Jim Jackson gave a shout out to Mike Grimm, long time.
Is that you? If so, you're a legend.
Yeah, that's you. Got a shout out from NBC Sports Philadelphia.
All right, see you again.
Yeah, he's got practice in literally a half hour. Gint took home his team took home some hardware last night.
Yeah, district champs. I've had to say congrats.
Yeah. So Snap.
You watch this later, Gint. Congrats.
Nadir, he actually just won. What did he win last night? District. He just won the district championship last night.
Apparently, the other team had 2 guys committed to Power 5 schools.
Yes. So
easy.
Nadir, stop hating.
All love on the show. All love.
He's not better than what we give him credit for. I hate to break it to you, Ben.
Listen, guys, listen. Let me just end this here. For what Furkan gives you is a scorer
A shooter.
who is, for the most part, inconsistent, a below-average defender that if he isn't hitting shots, he's a liability on the court. No one, listen, Furkan Korkmaz is an NBA basketball player, but he's not an NBA basketball player on a bench rotation for a contender. That's all we're saying. That's the only reason people on this show want him gone, because I don't even care if he's gone. He can be on the third rotation. If there's someone better to take Furkan's minutes, I want him. And it's that simple. Like no one's hating on him. Like I'd rather have Will Barton. I'd rather have Terrance Ross. These guys have a little more to give. Again, Furkan. I do not hate Furkan Korkmaz. I just think the bench can improve, and it starts with guys like Furkan, Mike Scott. Those are the two biggest liabilities on the bench right now. If you can improve them, you do it, because we're trying to win a goddamn championship.
Thank you, Snap. Nadir, again, the word is necessity. First of all, Doc isn't just going to throw him under the bus.
Yeah, like, do you guys not understand how the NBA works? Why would a head coach go out of his way to trash a player? I'm sure he likes Furkan. I'm sure they get along. I'm sure Doc wants the best for him. He's on his goddamn team. But the general manager and the coaching staff isn't going to come out here and just start trashing their own NBA player. Yeah. Like, no one does that. Daryl Morey said he wasn't going to trade Chris Paul. Guess what he did like 5 months later? He traded Chris Paul. Like, this is just the league, man. I know people have favorite players that are bench players. Like, dude, I loved Tony Roten. I would die on a hill for Tony Roten. But I know for a goddamn fact that he does not deserve minutes on a team like this. Like, just accept that, man. Furkan is just inconsistent. I love when Furkan's hot because it's fun to watch guys that aren't that great just light up the scene. When he did that reverse dunk on whatever his name is, I lost my mind. I was the first one on Twitter giving him praise. But guess what? He's not doing that every night.
Yeah.
The liability on defense.
So before we wrap up tonight's show, I need to just say something.
I don't even get to talk about Larry Nance.
No, we'll do it. But all I'm going to say is, see, you get snapped before you left. You snapped. I had to deal with this almost every single day.
You acquired two shooters.
Shane Gills, come for the Sixers talk. Stay for another year.
They're in the starting lineup. Go through the bench. He has to play because there's no one else on the bench. And here's what you don't remember, Nadir. You guys remember?
We talked about Will Barton first. So run it back whenever.
Yeah, we talked about Will Barton on the first slide. All right. Anyway, Larry Nance, 9.3 points per game, almost 7 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, almost 50% from the field, just over 38% from three-point land. He's got 3 years left on his deal at $32 million. So he's got almost $11 million per year.
The contract decreases as the years go by too. He's 11.7, 10.6, 9.6, which gives you flexibility moving forward. A little bit. It's still not much, but it's a little bit.
Oh, wait, I got to say goodbye. Later, Nadir.
Later, Nadir. I love you, Nadir. I'm just not a fan of Furkan.
So, George, what's your interest level in Larry Nance Jr.?
I love Larry Nance Jr. He's 28 years old. We got him under contract for the next 2 years after this. He's the type of guy. Wait, say it again?
I think he's 27.
27, yeah, all right, even better. Yeah, he's not old. He's a guy.
No, he just turned 28. I'm sorry. I
thought I saw that. Come on now.
I interrupted you for no reason. I'm sorry.
Well, he shoots well from the field. He shoots well from 3-point range. He's a guy that's going to put up numbers. Obviously, you see averages 9, 7, and 3. Getting a guy like Larry Nance off the bench for you right now would be a great fit, and it might cost a little bit, but I think Larry Nance Jr. would be a guy that's worth it. Like, unlike a guy like PJ Tucker, if you're getting offered the same package or whatever, you're trading for Larry Nance Jr. over PJ Tucker. So I like Larry Nance. I think he'd be a great guy off the bench for us, and bring him to me. Bring me a guy that can shoot a 3 and give me points off the bench.
And he's a freak of an athlete.
He's a great athlete.
Snap, you're all in on Larry Nance as well?
I actually at first this was intrigued me. It's very intriguing, but then you remember how good, not good, I won't say good, how much Larry Nance has improved as a shooter. That was always like, this is like the type of improvement you want to see out of like a guy like Ben. We're not going to get into that right now, but he went from just like a straight up pick and roll type of like roller guy, slasher guy, to being able to shoot 38%. Granted, low attempts, about 3 a game, makes 1 3 a game. It's all right. That's what you want. As a bench 4, to replace Mike Scott minutes. And I love Mike Scott. I got a signed t-shirt to the left of me on the wall that says, I ain't no bitch. He'll forever have a place in my heart. But I am taking Larry Nance over Mike Scott minutes, especially if he can shoot the ball. Like Ginsent before he left. When it comes to guys like Larry Nance, they're what is he, 6'9", 6'10"? I think he's 6'9".
Oh, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 6'7". 6'7". I highballed him. But he's a big boy. Like, you see the veins and stuff. He's a big boy, and he's super athletic. He gives matchup problems. Not matchup problems, but he can put a body on bigger guys that you're going to need to defend, especially athletic guys. You know? He's good slasher. He can shoot now. I don't know why you wouldn't go for it, especially if you can get him for what they're asking for PJ Tucker. Hopefully they don't make a PJ Tucker move that's really high value before Larry Nance gets traded, because then you're just fucked. You're probably not going to be able to acquire him.
Yep.
And you have him under the books. I give that like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, I give Larry Nance a 9. We'll take this list, and we'll open up next week's show with buyouts, our order of that, and then get into the buyouts, because Larry Nance is high on my list.
All right, so Dylan, I was thinking, you know how we were doing March Madness bracket with everybody if they want to join? We should do a free giveaway for the winner.
All right, I'm down.
T-shirt, sweatshirt, whatever you want to do.
Well, dude, we did the one for opening night, and I tried to contact the winner through YouTube, and I never heard back. So
really? Well, hopefully this is easier with the got everyone's info.
Yeah. All right. So for myself, for Gint, for Snap, for George, go Sixers. They're back on the road tonight in Chicago, on the road tomorrow against Washington, and then they come home in front of all of you guys and all of us, in front of fans for the first time and over in like a year, at the Wells Fargo Center against the Spurs on Sunday night. So we'll be back next week to recap all of these games, talk about the weekend, and then get into some buyout options. And maybe Daryl Morey has made a move. Have a nice night, everyone.
Peace.